What's up guys, my name is Ethan. I'm about to show you how each of these boards compares to the other and help you decide which board is best for you. So let's get started. So the three different board constructions we're going to be looking at today are the iSUP, the Lite Tech, and the iSUP, all created and designed by Starboard SUP. I've been using Starboard boards for quite a few years now, and I absolutely love and stand behind the company. Their motto is innovation and quality, and that definitely comes out in all of their products that they release. They also really focus on environmental care, and every time you purchase a board or one of their products, they actually plant a mangrove tree on your behalf for their environment. So I highly recommend them. If you want to learn more, simply check out the website, linked down in the description below. So let's get started by looking at the construction of each board, and let's start off with the iSUP, which stands for as strong as possible, which basically means this is the toughest board that Starboard makes. On the outside, we have their high density thermoformed EVA, which covers the whole top of the board, the sides, and gives a really nice protection against rocks and any other hard surfaces. And the inside of the board, it has several different layers composed of foam, glass, and Australian pine, making it strong and very rigid. Now moving on to the Lite Tech board, this board is comprised of a unidirectional stringer band, combination mat, chop mat, and Australian pine. By having no glass and no protection wrap around the outside of this board is lighter and easier to handle. Now when it comes to iSUPs by Starboard, they actually make three different types of iSUPs. The first one is the Deluxe double chamber board, the second one is the Deluxe single chamber, and the third one is their Zen board. But today we're going to be looking at the Deluxe single chamber only and how that is made and constructed. This board is made of a fusion woven drop stitch and welded rail technology. By having the woven drop stitch technology, it actually gives the board more rigidity, and also by having the welded edges, it actually gives the board a stronger bond on all the seams. This simply assures that the board will last for many years to come in all types of weather conditions. Now since the iSUP board is comprised of more materials and does have that protective wrap around the outside of the board, this board does come in at a heavier weight. You're simply sacrificing your weight in order to have a more durable hardboard. Then moving down to the Lite Tech board, this board definitely lives up to its name as it does come at a lighter weight and is much easier to handle and carry because of that as well. In comparison to its counterpartner at the same size and shape of this board and the iSUP model, this board actually comes in at 2.5 pounds lighter than the iSUP version. But obviously the lighter version of this board is the iSUP version because it's filled with air, and so obviously since air doesn't weigh anything, you get a lighter board. In comparison to the Lite Tech board, the iSUP version of the same size and model actually comes in at 5 pounds lighter than the Lite Tech version. That means this board is even 7.5 pounds lighter than the iSUP. So that just goes to show you the wide range of weight in terms of the iSUP, the Lite Tech, and the iSUP boards in this model and range. When it comes to durability of this board, obviously the iSUP board is a very durable board. By having that protective wrap on the rails of the board, I can easily set this board down on hard surfaces and not have to worry about damaging the board in any way. It's also very nice having the wrap all the way from the back to the very front of the board as well. It simply gives extra grip and protection for the board when you bring your pets or bring your kids with you on the paddle board. It's just overall a great board for use for families and for rental businesses. Now the Lite Tech board is still a very high quality and strong board, but since it does not have that protective wrap on the rails of the board or on the very front of the board, it is more prone to damage against hard surfaces such as rocks or concrete. So when using this board, you do have to be careful about when you're in water paddling around hard surfaces such as rocks, or when you're taking your paddleboard back to your vehicle, to be careful sitting down on the concrete, as both those situations can cause damage to the outside of your board. But the iSUP board is without a doubt the most durable board. I can literally take this board and throw it down on the ground and not have to worry about damaging the board at all. Now obviously you do have to avoid sharp objects in the water or on the beach, as that definitely can puncture your board and cause you to have to put a patch on the board. But when it comes to just simply a hard surface, man, this board is super durable. When it comes to performance, the iSUP board still performs very well. And the Go version of this board, it still gets that deep center channel on the bottom of the board, allowing it to have still really good glide when you're paddling on the water. The only downers in terms of performance are the weight, and the other one is by having that protective wrap on the sides of your board and the rails does create a little bit more friction technically in the water when you're paddling through it. But overall, you won't really notice the difference in it. Only if you're paddling for really long paddles, you might feel a little bit more tired by having to paddle with a heavier board. And obviously, since the Lite Tech board does not have that protective wrap on the rails and it's comprised of different materials inside the board, this board is lighter and does perform better in terms on the water. This Go board also has a deep center channel on the bottom of the board, giving it that incredible glide. So in comparison to the iSUP or the iSUP, the Lite Tech definitely is the highest performing board. Now, even though the iSUP is not the highest performing board, it still paddles very well and has decent glide in the water. Since it is an iSUP though, you don't get that deep center channel on the bottom of your board, since we're having to work with trying to keep the shape of the board in order to give it the most rigidity as you're using the board. But overall, still a great performing board, just might take you a little bit longer to paddle that same distance in comparison to the other boards. So in the end, who would I recommend each of these boards for? Starting with the ASAP board, I definitely recommend this board for rental businesses and for family use. For each of these situations, this board is more durable as we talked about, so you can simply use it in the rental business or with your family and not have to worry too much about damaging the board in any way. The Lite Tech board is definitely better for personal use and people who are more responsible with the paddle board. As we talked about, it is more prone to damage, but it is also the higher performing board. So if you take care of it, it'll last a long time and you have a great performing board. And then lastly, I recommend the iSUP mostly for family use and also for rental businesses if you want to as well. Since this board is super durable, you can take it pretty much anywhere and not have to worry about damaging the board. It's also super convenient to just be able to deflate the board, roll it up, put it in the back of your small car, or also just store it in a closet in your house. The only thing to be cautious of using these boards for rental businesses is if you're at hot locations with very hot sand on the beach. These boards can get higher pressure in terms of the heat, so just make sure you keep an eye on that to make sure you don't get too much pressure build up inside your board to cause damage to it. In the end though, each of these boards are incredible boards when used for the design purpose, and I highly recommend any of them. I simply hope that by watching this video, you learn more about the construction and purpose of each of these boards to help you better decide which one is better suited for you. And as always, be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Maybe drop a comment if you're feeling super ambitious. And if you want to watch more content like this, be sure to check out the channel. That's it for today. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Hasta luego, amigos.